Welcome everyone to our masterclass today. Welcome to Surrender. What, why, how? I want to welcome those of you who are joining me live right now. And I also want to welcome those of you who are going to be watching the replay. I know a lot of people do that. So thank you for joining and thanks for being with us for the next hour. So we will be together for an hour. Please go ahead and turn your phones off, close the doors in your rooms if you're sitting in rooms, and really just give yourself this hour to, as one of our participants said when we were chatting before, to really just be able to be right now. This is the type of class today where we're going to be doing some practice at the end, and surrender is such a phenomenally, colossally powerful subject that so people are popping on. Welcome everybody. Welcome to our live class. Hi Trina, so good to have you. Welcome Henriette, so good to have you. So we have started. I'm just going to go ahead and mute you guys, you ladies, and anytime you want to pop on and ask questions, please feel free. So surrender is such a colossally deep subject. It's a deep initiation. There's really no being on the other side of it. I'm actually personally right now in a period of deep surrender, which is why I'm so interested in the subject, and which is why I wanted to teach it today. So this is really, as it will happen with teachers and practitioners, this is just as much for me as it is for you. I'm so fascinated by the process of surrender and how we can be successful humans in our lives and be successful spiritual humans, which if you all are watching this or joining me live, I know that you're in a deep spiritual walk, because that's who I attract and that's who I work with. So this class there's going to be a lot of like awareness and just kind of talking, as promised in the write-up, just sort of talking about, what surrender is and the dynamics of it, and it's such a powerful subject, just that awareness is going to be medicine for everyone here. And it's going to start to move the needle, having your mind and having your intellect be able to understand if you are. So how many of you that I can see right now, and you can just show me by a raise of hands, how many of you are going through a period of surrender or breakdown right now in this moment? So there's one. Yep. Mm-hmm. So people are raising. Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes. Well, welcome to the cauldron. Here we go. So just having the sort of the teasing out that I'm going to be doing today, and just having the information is going to help ease your mind and ease your intellect and ease that part of you, your ego personality, that is the one that is getting broken right now. And that is the one that, feels like it always needs to be running the show, because that's really what we're taught, especially in the Western world. Like, we're really taught, like, it's this part of ourselves, it's the smaller mind. And I don't mean to diminish that part of ourselves when I say the small mind, but like the ego personality, you guys know what I'm talking about, versus you as greater consciousness, you as the source of everything, you as the consciousness that created everything that we know and don't know. And I'll say this again, but I'll say this right now, just to start the class off. When your life is falling apart and when you're being called to surrender, you're being called to create your life from a deeper part of yourself, from that part of yourself that is your essence, that is the spark of the divine within you, and that is you as the divine. So welcome to that. It's going to happen more than once in your lifetime. It's probably already happened a couple times. Maybe it's the most intense you've ever experienced right now, but it's just really a process of getting better and better and better, of relaxing the ego, relaxing the personality, and opening up to that greater, more brilliant part of you that is the part that brings all of the magic and all of the synchronicities and everything that is so delightful that you never could have really conjured, with your mind. So that's what we're talking about today. So what's the problem of surrender? I'll share a little story with you. So, for those of you who don't know me, because there are some new people on. For those of you who don't know me, I am an energy healer. I'm certified in Brennan healing science. I opened my practice 10 years ago in 2009, and I've been working as a healer ever since. Okay, so Henriette, your moving around is distracting to me, so um, I'm going to stop your video. Is that okay? Okay, great, perfect. I'm just like watching you shift around, and it's distracting. Thank you. I appreciate that. Perfect. And if Henriette, if you want to pop back on and be seen, please do so, but only if you can kind of be with us. And you're more than welcome to be doing whatever you're doing right now and listening. That's totally fine too. So yeah, so I'm a healer. I love it. It's amazing. I love working with, I have worked extensively to help solopreneurs like myself and like some of you on this call to build their businesses. And my clients have been very successful in doing so. And I also love working with people who have grown up with narcissists, or who are partners or ex-partners of narcissists who have lost themselves in the process of having to completely erase themselves to survive with somebody else in their household or in their life. And if you guys have that in your lives, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So that's my practice. That's who I love to work with. And that's what I do. All right, so let's dive right in. So what's the problem with surrender? I'll tell you a little story. So I attended the Barbara Brennan School of Healing. It's a 4-year healing school. It's an extraordinary place. It's a rigorous education. And it's heal or heal thyself, and then hold space for others to do the same, right? So there was a lot of self-healing involved in my training. And in my 3rd year of school, the entire 3rd year of the Brennan School is dedicated to this concept of surrender. And this was a long time ago, right? This was like, we're talking like 12, 13 years ago at this point. And I barely knew what we were talking about. And I was confused and I was annoyed because everything that I had ever created for myself, I have a history of corporate history. I worked on Wall Street, so it was like a different world. And everything I had ever created for myself up until that point, including being in school, including being in healing school, I had created because of clarity and hard work and determination and like patience and doing it for myself. And of course, I created this through with my healthy adult ego, because I have a healthy adult ego. Thank God I can operate in the world. And so I was irritated when we were studying surrender because I hadn't been forced to surrender yet. And so Barbara calls it a willing process. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think sometimes we're forced to surrender. So I was irritated. I didn't know what I was supposed to be surrendering to. And I didn't know why I was surrendering. So it is fascinating for me to look back at my books, which I did do in preparation for this class. And Barbara's a genius. She has it all laid out, and all the answers are there. It's amazing. So I personally only started to really like understand what this whole spiritual concept of surrender is and care about it when I was actually forced to learn it by pieces of my own life falling apart and and things not happening as I expected for them to happen. And I'll tell you, if you want to learn surrender, open up a healing practice. You'll learn it like that because you're working so closely with spirit. There's no way that you can just operate from your healthy adult ego. You have to open up to that greater part of you that is conscious, that is you as consciousness, right? So when surrender comes knocking, again, I think it's a rare and evolved human that's like, I'm going to go ahead and choose to surrender right now. And I will give you guys the definition of that, or at least my definition of surrender. But when surrender comes knocking, it can feel like your life is falling apart. So just a couple of my notes. You're forced to contemplate surrender when your life stops working the way you want it to, or the way that you think it should, right? When you thought that you were doing the right things for what you needed or wanted to either create your dreams or to create something in your life, you have these like best laid plans, right? If I do it this way, these are my plans, this is my vision, I deserve to have it work out. Surrender comes knocking when all of that doesn't work out, right? Surrender also comes knocking when, and this has been actually the most terrifying for me, when, because I can roll with like changing plans, but when the ways that I know how to produce, and when I say produce, I mean like make a living, make money, have my business, that kind of a thing. When all of the, when my whole operating system, when all the ways that I know how to produce, you know, how to get shit done, how to get it done, when all of that stops working, right? When my clients stop signing up with me, or, you know, in my life, things stop showing up, or, you know, there's the tectonic plates start shifting, it's terrifying, right? So can you guys sort of, is that a yes? I know that everyone has their own experiences, but have you guys experienced something like that in your own life? Yeah. And it's not a joke. Like it's not funny. You know, we smile and laugh about it when we're not right in the middle of it, but it's terrifying, right? Because you're messing with, it's like, I'm like, spirit, you're messing with my life. You're messing with my livelihood. Like you're messing with my ability to like pay for my life. So, oh my God, like that's when we really, you know, start to pay attention. And sometimes it does take something that strong. And I'll talk about that in a second. So let's just go there, you know, because I've been there. You feel like a total and complete failure, right? I know that I have called myself a failure in moments of surrender, and those are such sad moments. I have so much compassion for that place where it's like, all right, well, I failed, you know, I really failed. And you know, listen, that's not a useful thing to say, but that is a real thing to say. And I think it is an evolved moment when you can have everything breaking down around you and you actually don't need to go there. You don't need to punish yourself in that way. But I know it happens, right? So again, surrender comes knocking. You feel like a total and complete failure. If you feel like everything you've ever worked for, you know, and stood for meant nothing, right? Again, you feel like you're doing everything the way that you should be doing it and you're building this dream, and then the tides turn and you need to be paying attention in a different way and working with actually a different part of yourself, and so all of that can collapse and fall. I think the longer you live, the longer you have these experiences, the older I get, the more like just sort of mature about how, you know, things shift and change. And I really just learned how to kind of roll with it. And that's definitely something that we're going to be doing today. It's all about being in touch with the essence of who you are and letting that come forth, and actually listening to that as the way that you operate, more than trying to figure it out with your mind. And that is like, there is nothing held, really. There's so little held for us in that process. We are in a spiritual renaissance right now. We are evolving, you know, humanity, I think, quicker than ever. So that those templates will start to come forth. But it's not really a conversation that a lot of people are in, and it's not really something that a lot of people really understand. You know, like I was having a dinner last night with some friends, and I was like, yeah, you know, like let go and let God. And they were like, really? Are you serious? Are you religious? Are you, you know? And I'm like, no, it's glib, but I'm serious. Like, Jesus, take the wheel. Like, really, go for it. Because me driving is not working anymore. So what do you want? You know, and you know, I have so much deep reverence for this stuff. I have so much deep respect for this work, and for those of you who do this work. And that I'm an East Coaster, so I can joke about it, joke about things. But I hold a really deep love and a really deep respect for it. It just gets so real sometimes, you know, it really does. So anyway, that's why we're talking about it today, to bring light and to bring awareness to it, and to bring the light of awareness to it, and to make it easier so that we can all have better lives. So the possibility, what we're getting to in ourselves and in our lives, is that there's nothing to solve. There's nothing to figure out. There's only, and especially in this class today, we're going to be doing this, there's only really feeling what's right for you. And when I say feeling, I mean literally feeling as in like with your senses, like a sensuality in your body, feeling into the essence of who you are first by feeling comfortable and safe in your body, and then using your body as a vehicle to feel into your energy field. And then from there, sensing into the light and the space in your energy field, and just to continue to say yes to that unfolding discovery of, Barbara calls, when you're in a period of surrender, you go deeply in, and then you start to spiral out into this like labyrinth and find your way. You're finding your way in this process where everything that you're familiar with is breaking down around you, collapsing around you. And you're just finding your way, finding your truth. What does your truth feel like? What does the light inside of you feel like? And you just keep on saying yes to those little clues. And you have to take it slowly. Be very, very careful with yourself, full of care to yourself, a lot of self-love in this process. And I know that we have to show up for work, and that it's like almost by definition, when you have to show up 8-10 hours a day, like you can't feel yourself, on those days. And so just take the time, if you do have a more spacious schedule, that's awesome. Just take the time that you have to literally like slow the matrix of your life and be able to feel yourself and feel what's right and feel what's wrong and take action on that. So there's no solving surrender. There's not a time when we're never not going to have to experience surrender. For every ego death, we recalibrate into a new experience of having more of our greater consciousness be a part of our operating system as humans, as our experience, as this personality. And then there will be another time on our spiritual path and our spiritual walk when we're called once more to listen again. And so hopefully we just keep listening. We keep that channel more and more open. But if we close down, the surrender is going to be pretty harsh. And I know that from experience. It's like spirit's going to do whatever it needs to do to get you to listen. So if everything has to fall apart and then you're listening, that's what had to happen. If it can be a little more gentle, you can pray for that too. So that's kind of the landscape, and that's what we're talking about. So what is surrender? What is the spiritual concept of surrender? So the spiritual concept of surrender it's letting go, right? Like I was saying, letting go and let God. It's not what we're talking about today is not giving up. Like we're fighting a war and then we're like, we surrender. It's not that, right? And I know that you all probably know that, but I just wanted to articulate that. It's the act of releasing your expected, even your desired outcomes. So it's the act of releasing what it is that you want to have happen, or what it is you think was going to happen based on what you had done, or what you think should happen. It's the act of releasing that. That is surrender. Barbara's definition of surrender is to willingly deliver up, to give over to a higher imperative. So to willingly deliver up, to give over to a higher imperative. I don't think it's always willingly. So I'm just going to put that in there. Cassandra's nodding her head. Oh my God. Again, the more that we are called to do this, the more awareness we have around it, and the more the next time a big lesson comes around, it can be more gentle. Right. So Barbara is extremely knowledgeable and evolved. Maybe for her, the concept of surrender is very willing and gentle, but I'm sure it wasn't always like that for her either. In my opinion, it's one of the most serious and beautiful and worthwhile initiations humankind has. Right. I think it's one of the things that takes us the closest to God, to ourselves as God, and to, who we are outside of just this personality, and really integrating who we are with this personality so that we can walk more closely with it's all about walking more and more closely with our creativity and our inspiration. In my opinion, that's what we're here to do. We're here to live expressing our creativity. I think that's the high expression of being a human being. And so that's what surrender has you do. It has you break down all of your defenses and all the ways that you were pretending and all the ways that you're fronting and like doing all the things that we do, and just getting humble and just saying, all right, you know what? I actually don't know, because all the things that I thought I knew and all the ways that I thought worked are no longer working before. I have a very strong sense of image. I grew up in Miami. It's all about what you look like, literally. And I don't have any problem with that at all. I actually really enjoy that. I enjoy dressing up and looking cute and, you know, all that stuff. But my image is, it's like a, it's like a strong candy. Like it's like a hard candy shell that spirit has just been like, you know? Um, so, you know, you can explore for yourself, and we'll, you know, I'll articulate this, a little bit later, some of the ways that we break down. So how does surrender happen? Well, it is, as you all know, you guys are, you're here, you made it to something. You'd be surprised how many people sign up for things and don't make it, right? Some things that are important to them and they just can never make it. Cassandra's on her lunch break, right? And she showed up. So it's the mark of maturity to have a strong and healthy and flexible and integrated ego so that we can operate as humans, right? Yet, as we progress with our spiritual work, the call of our core essence and of our higher self becomes stronger than the construct of our ego. So that's the beginning of surrender. When we are asked to look to a greater source, the ego is going to hold on even tighter because it's cool with how everything is. It created how everything is. It's proud of it. It has ownership. It doesn't want to give its power up to anything else. It's okay. It's happy, right? It's also in self-preservation mode. And this is not about, I think there's a lot of talk out there in the spiritual world about like killing the ego, destroying the ego. It's not about that, because the ego helps us to remember how to do math and where our car keys are and how to show up to work every day and what to do at work. So we can really appreciate that appreciate the small mind, our minds, right? Our human minds. It's just a matter of opening up our minds into consciousness. Remember, our minds are a part of consciousness. Consciousness doesn't necessarily need the ego personality, right? It's a part of who we are. It's a part of this agreement, right? That this is a pillow and I have hair. The pixelation of this agreement, the ego keeps that in check for us. So, surrender. So as I said, I've already said this, surrender happens when we are being called to create from a greater part of ourselves, and not just the part that we're so familiar with, the ego self or the personality, right? But greater consciousness. Does that make sense to everyone? Does anyone need like a clarification of that or any questions about that? No. Okay. Yeah. You guys know what's up. So where we are called to surrender by spirit is where we are defended the most. It's medicine. So it's going to go right into where we need to heal the most. So is it how you think? Is it your thoughts about things? How you create with your thoughts? Is it your emotions, how you're feeling and what you do with your emotions? Maybe even how you treat yourself, what you do to yourself with your emotions or with others? Or is it in how you act? And you can just look at really what's going on in the breakdown to know, to figure out, where are you most rigid? What needs to be broken the most? And so there are a couple ways that surrender happens. Surrender happens in things dissolving. Surrender happens in things breaking. You can be broken by spirit. I have been broken in half across the knee of spirit. It was not a pretty day, but it happens, you know. Surrender happens when you are asked to or forced to let go, when you have to let go, when you have to give up, right? It's basically like going like this with anything that you were holding on to that spirit knows is no longer serving you. It's for growth. It's all in service to growth. So that's really the opportunity. If you guys have been reading my newsletters, I keep talking about like the other side of breakdown and the opportunity of surrender, the opportunity of breakdown. It's real. We get to grow and we get to have better lives and more connected lives as a result of that. So as things dissolve, as things break, our operating system breaks so that we can't rely on it anymore. And that is a deep moment of humility. Am I right? Can I just get some nods if that's true for you guys? A deep moment of humility. I know for me, it's like, it's like, I thought that I had been humbled. No, there's more. There is more. These are the moments when, you know, I like to know everything. I'll even like, if I exit, for example, like a restaurant with a bunch of friends and I don't really know where the car is, I'll just start walking. And this can be validated. Trina, you can ask. I'll just start like walking in a direction. And everyone's like, do you know where we're going? And I'm like, oh, no, I don't, but we'll find the way, you know, like I like to know. And
I already know this one, Sam.
You know it. She's been there. She's experienced it. Yeah, we were in New York together. So, but yeah, so, you know, I like to know things. So when I don't know anymore, that's a hard one. That's a hard one for me when I have to slow down and just be in the beingness of what is so, of the now moment. Okay, I welcome that. I always want to do that. I always want to be in that place. And sometimes, you know, again, spirit's like, it's time now. Again, if you're holding up like a facade, like an image, like I was talking about earlier, of, you know, my life is perfect, my life looks like this, my you know, my job is perfect, my marriage is perfect, my kids are perfect, my house is perfect, or any of those things are a certain way. That's so prevalent now, with social media. It's so crazy. You know, it's just like everyone's highlights reel. And I know we've talked about that before. I know people talk about that, but it's true. It's like still today, just everyone's highlights reel, right? It's hard. So when things start to break down, the facade is over, right? You're not hiding it. You're not hiding like it's not perfect anymore. And people can start to see that. So that's very humbling as well. The good news about this is that the only place really that we have to turn is to our authenticity. And in our authenticity, we are real, we are raw. We turn to our friends that we trust in these moments. Only turn to people that you trust. If someone doesn't really know you, if you think they might judge your situation, you don't give them the gift of sharing the situation until you have a little bit more understanding of what the hell is going on, right? It's like the classic, you know, you don't need to feed pearls to pigs, right? And that's a sort of biblical thing, but it's true. I really encourage you to honor the process and honor what's going on and keep it, you know, again, in social media, people are sharing all this crazy vulnerable stuff. It's like, that's okay if that works for them. In my opinion, there's no context around that. They're just sort of blah, putting it out there. You get to have context for your life, and you get to have a relationship with the people in your life, and you get to share with the people with whom you have a relationship. Does that make sense? It's part of honoring the spiritual process. And in fact, when you start to share things, it actually starts to dilute their power. So consider that. So consider that until you're absolutely ready, you don't have to share anything unless it's in service to the process, or it's with your healer, your therapist, your supervisor, someone who can help you through the process. Right? So I just want to put that one in there too. So in the breakdown, in the humbling, we find more connection. We get into contact with a deeper part of ourselves because our defenses have been broken away. They've been shattered or burned away. There's nothing left. And, you know, we could literally be like a puddle, you know, on the floor, but out of that puddle, I mean, truly out of those ashes rises the phoenix. Out of that puddle of crying or whatever it might be, of releasing, that happens. You actually feel yourself. Oh, there I am. What are my values again? What am I doing again? What's important to me? What's my connection with spirit? Okay, cool. Let's operate from there. Let's go from there. So that's what we're talking about. In these moments, this is an acceptance. When the ego starts to stop freaking out about what's going on, there's an acceptance by the ego that there is a greater reality. And in my opinion, that this greater reality is smarter and more powerful, right, than we are. Like, duh, obviously, you know, because it created us. And we are a part of it as well. I believe that too. And so the defensive structures that the ego has put in place to keep everything, to keep itself in place, right? To keep everything going. And again, we can thank it for that because it does such a wonderful job. And we ask so much of the mind. If you guys don't know about Michael Singer's book, The Untethered Soul, get it. It's one of the best books ever written, I think, in the history of humanity, I think. It's all about accepting what is so. It's all about surrender, actually. Duh. It's all about surrender. It's all about accepting what is so, and then sinking back into your connection with the all that is, and just being with that, and the power of that. I use the word quiescence in one of my newsletters, but the power of that, just quiescence, like the power of that, that part of ourselves that knows that everything is peace and everything is joy, truly, like truly, truly. And having the experience of that because you're in touch with that part of yourself. And as he describes it like, it's almost like sinking back behind everything, behind all of this craziness, and sinking back behind your heart. So I recommend that book. Why is surrender important? Learning how to surrender is learning how to work with spirit. And it's learning how to walk with spirit for the rest of your life, to truly create the life of your dreams, and to create like a miraculous life, and to have synchronicities and opportunities come into your life that you never could have created from your ego personality or from your smaller mind, because it simply doesn't have a perspective, right? Welcome to the person who just joined, AR. Thank you for joining. So good to have you. Surrender is important because it's a way for you to get your life back, right? We just spent a little bit of time talking about how surrender breaks everything down. It's a skill. Surrender is a skill, and it's a way for you to get your life back, but as an evolved version of you, as the spirit in human's clothing that we all are. So it's a way for you to live your life in a whole new and more beautiful way, I think. Surrender is important because you're opening, and I've said this a couple of times, but I'll just say it one more time. You're opening and listening to the part of you that created everything that we know and don't know. Oh gosh, just in my own life, people have come into my life that like know people from my past. It's just the synchronicities are like, you just like can't make this stuff up. It's just wild. This life is so wild, isn't it? It's like, wow. And what we do have is the true north of our connection to ourself and our connection to our essence. And that is our truth, and that is our creativity. That's what we have. And I think that when we make good on that, when we take action on that, I think our life really starts to work. So how are we going to do this? Well, this requires going into that part of ourselves that is no mind. So if you all have a meditation practice, we're going to utilize you're going to utilize your skill set from that. This requires leaving the chatter of your monkey mind behind, which is so much easier said than done, especially, depending on where you are in your day, your week, your month, your year, your life. And we're going to be dropping into the quiet of your essence and your greater consciousness, and just sort of navigating. You're going to be like navigating your own way to that. The hard part of this is that it sometimes can be hard to quiet the mind. So we'll do a little bit of practice to quiet the mind. Good, we have plenty of time today. I always go over, and today I'm not going to go over. So, let me just feel into what I want to do with you all now. So I want to open up the room to everyone, and I'd just like to hear from you all. Sort of what it feels like for you when things are falling apart, or when your operating system crashes. Like, how do your moments of surrender occur for you? I just love to have that in the space a little bit before we drop into your own experience. So I'm going to unmute all of you here, and just go ahead and speak up as you're ready.
The hardest part for me, hi, it's Teresa.
Hi, Teresa.
Is I certainly feel like I work very hard at being grateful.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a very large and long gratitude list.
Mm-hmm.
And many things are quite simple. And I'm still unhappy.
That's deep. I get that. Mm. Okay, good. Thank you for sharing that. We're gonna be with that today. Yeah, I get that. I get that place too. I understand. Who else? Who else would like to share about what happens when you feel like things are breaking down or not quite working, or not what you thought it would be or what you want?
I mean, I'm a middle-aged woman.
Mm-hmm.
I have, I'm a learned woman. Yeah, I've been around a few trees, and I'm working hard, so hard to be happy.
Is this Teresa? This is Teresa again, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Now I'll mute myself.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Who else? Who else has anything?
Henriette.
Okay, hi.
My apologies. I came flying through the door. I haven't been home for a week.
No problem.
So hungry, and just I had to grab some things and settle down. Sorry.
No, I'm so glad to have you. Thank you for joining. It's great to have you.
So I've been trying to surrender, but working so hard, and I wouldn't say I'm unhappy, but it just seems like there are so many challenges. So it just feels like things are always being taken away.
Yeah.
So like Teresa, there's a lot for me to be grateful about, but it's hard when your dreams always get snatched away.
Mm.
Especially when I work so hard and I treat people well, and it just seems it's and I know it's ego, and so I'm trying to learn the terminology, like the power. I read Eckhart Tolle's The New Awakening, and I found it hard to understand. I've read Martha Beck's Steering by Starlight, and just trying to get my head around this, because obviously what I'm doing now isn't working. It's not working.
Yeah. I welcome you to be gentle with yourself. You had a moment where you were saying, kind of like, obviously it's my ego, and, I just want to just kind of illuminate that as, we can be so hard on ourselves, and just to sort of soften, around that. And I just want to reflect the ways that you are showing up, and that you are trying and practicing and doing. And yeah, sometimes it just still doesn't work. And it's like, why isn't it working? Like, what else do I need to do? It's very, very frustrating. And life can be really, really, really hard sometimes. And, this is a deeper inquiry, right? Everybody knows that here. This is a deep, deep, process. And it's more than just one conversation. It's more than one masterclass, that kind of a thing. But I will say, both to you, Henriette and Teresa, and maybe this is true for a lot of people, that in my experience, and I say it with like a sigh and a roll of my eyes, because in my experience, when you're like doing everything that you know how to do, and things still aren't working, there's like a deeper creative part of yourself that still like wants to be seen and wants to be expressed. And oftentimes that can feel like expressing that can feel so risky and scary and uncomfortable. So I know what that feels like. That's why I'm saying it like that, because it's like, ugh. But, you know, being on a spiritual path, you're lucky because spirit's not going to stop until you really get the dream that is like the vision. Do you know what I mean? Does that resonate with you ladies at all?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. And so my recommendation to you then, that having been said, is to get support around that, because that place inside of you is like so powerful, because it's really who you really are, right? It's the expression of who you really are. It's your essence saying like, this is why I'm here, you know, in all of the glory and all of the excitement and all of the being seen and the risk and the joy and the sunshine or the snowy Alps, or, you know, wherever this thing is in the world for you, or whatever the expression is. But it's also like the scariest thing for you to do, which is why, you know, you're showing up and you do the practices and it's like, I'm doing all these things, but it's still not working. You got to do that. Oh, you got to do that deep thing that is inside. So you can get support around that. For someone to hold, you know, to hold the space and hold you in that space to just move really, really slowly towards it. There's no rush. There's no moving any faster. To just really honor that part that so desperately wants what it wants, which is, again, the expression of who you are in your essence. And yet can be a tender part, a young part, right? And even in this moment, as I drop into myself to transmit that with you and to you, like it feels a little shaky, like, ooh, right? Ooh, that's the realness.
Samantha, I feel better already.
What?
Thank you.
What's that?
Samantha, I feel better already. Thank you.
Yay.
Not necessarily, well, for your words, but actually for first time I've heard your voice, for your authenticity and your honesty.
This class?
And you know?
Or?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, you mean that moment for you was my most authentic moment in this class? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying. I'm hearing your voice.
You're hearing me, yeah.
Yeah, I'm hearing your voice.
Thank you. Thanks for that reflection. Great. Yeah, we all just want authenticity. That's what we're all dying for, you know, really. Anybody else would like to share, put anything else in the cauldron? Trina?
Yeah, I'll just say that for when those times come up for me, like right now, I would say surrender, but not breakdown. Like I'm kind of like,
Great.
okay, we're going to do this. But previously this year, it was like not like that. And it goes between two states. So like either really anxious that like I just can't make it how I want it to be, or like I'm not doing a good job at something or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I do go into the surrender in those times when it really feels like that, then it's like just lots and lots of emotions, really, really emotional. And I'll be like crying all the time, which feels better than anxious. So.
Yeah, releasing that. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're in a period of surrender but not breakdown. That's really, really powerful. Maybe I'll get to that place. Stay there. It's fun, no? Are you having fun with it?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. And what's the creative expression that's coming out of that for you? I know you're extraordinarily creative.
It's a lot of things, I think, but it's mostly like communicating my love to everybody. So like various expressions, some just like at home with my friends, with my husband, through writing work that I'm doing. I'm like, oh, so much love and it just wants to come out.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah,
That's amazing.
it feels good.
Good. I bet. Yeah, super yummy. All right, everyone. So in our last 15 minutes, we're going to have a meditation experience where we are going to spiral together down, each one of us, into that most precious, tender, brilliant. Sometimes it feels effervescent. The energetics of our essence in our bodies. Certainly extraordinary parts of ourselves that are us as the divine. And yeah, so I'm going to stop talking about it and let's just do it. All right. So everyone, just please close your eyes and find yourself in a comfortably seated position or laying down, or however you are most comfortable meditating. And just start to settle into yourself. Relax your eyes. I read Barbara today saying there is no future as something ahead of us or forward from what we're experiencing now. That what our quote unquote future is our dreams that are actually stored in our consciousness. So similar to how Abraham Hicks talks about the vortex. Barbara referenced that today in her own way. And so there's nothing to look forward out into necessarily, nothing to hook into forward facingly with your third eye. So you can just drop that. If you have any tendrils or cords moving out from your third eye that you can feel or perceive, you can just reel them back into the center of your head. Softening the muscles of your eyes and soften your eyeballs. Allow your eyeballs to float in their sockets. Relax the muscles of your face. Relax your jaw. Using all of your senses, including, well, I guess how your skin feels is your feeling sense. And so feeling even from your skin, how can you soften the muscles of your face and your jaw and your neck and your shoulders, allowing this to be a sensual process. Feeling good and comfortable in your body, noticing if you are holding in any habitual ways and just dropping that like you drop a hot potato. And gently moving your attention to the space behind your eyes, so the center of your head. And then as we sit there together, notice what other parts of your body you want to soften, unwind, relax. For me, as I start to come into the present moment, the freedom and the possibility of the present moment the ways that my fascia holds, so the connective tissue that surrounds your muscles, the way that the fascia holds will start to release. And so my body will want to move or sway or even have micro releases. If we ever have an injury or fall or get hit or have anything happen with our physical bodies, the fascia will take that injury. And until we either unwind it with our own awareness or with a therapist, it will hold the memory of that and hold the tightness of that. And that's true for mental and emotional trauma as well. When we're shocked, the fascia can hold that shock. And so softening your vision, bringing your vision to the inside of your eyes. And just using your attention to drop in and to drop down. So just gently in your own time, just exploring with curiosity your inner landscape of your body. Moving down into your torso, just down into the rest of your body, and just exploring. What does my heart feel like? Where am I holding in my chest, in my back, my upper back? How are my lungs? Each breath a gift, literally the sweetness of life with your inhales and your exhales. And just being with yourself so sweetly in this moment, in this meditation together. Just feeling how you show up for yourself in your life, for your practices. How you keep searching. Maybe moving your awareness down into your stomach, your liver, your kidneys, your large and small intestines, your bladder, and then your womb space, your pelvic bowl. Just exploring your inner landscape. Allowing your body to open, allowing your awareness to open inside of your body. Inhaling the sweetness of life and exhaling anything inside of you that doesn't serve you. So if you're seeing any darkness or any fog, any static that you don't need to hold on to anymore, just imagine with each exhale that that's exiting your system. Feeling where in your system you do feel space. Feeling where in your system you do feel maybe some light, or you can see light. And maybe that feels like good. Maybe that feels like pleasure. Maybe that feels like love, like self-love. In this moment, what can you forgive yourself for? In this moment, how can you stop judging yourself? I just listened to a talk by a woman who said that she sees judgment as spikes, like a spiked armor around the heart. So, how can you release judgment of yourself in this moment? Why? Because it doesn't really do anything. It does feel like maybe we're doing something when we judge ourselves because we're being hard on ourselves, but actually, it doesn't really get us to where we want to go. So, it's in greater service to forgive ourselves and certainly others. Let's just start with ourselves and let go of our judgment of ourselves. And as you do that, see what more opens up inside of you. See what parts of you are more available now than 4 moments ago. And breathe into that availability. Continuing to drop even deeper into your being. Even deeper into the stillness within. Starting to approach that precious part of yourselves, that is your essence. Maybe it feels young, maybe it feels tender, maybe it just feels precious, like a treasure inside of you. Just continue to send your attention in to the deepest part of yourself. And if you feel any resistance, release the resistance with your next exhale. Soften yourself from the inside out. As a teacher of mine says, relax, and then relax more, and then relax even more. I'm feeling the stillness here. And just allowing whatever defensive patterns that might want to block this place inside of you, just allowing them to unwind, just allowing them to melt. And as you make contact with this part of yourself, just enjoy. We will be here for a couple more moments. So I'm just going to speak to this part of you. You are welcome to start to shift your body and come out of the meditation if you like. If you want to stay here, you are more than welcome to stay here. This is the place inside of your body, inside of your energy field, that the process of surrender has you access, dropping all of the hardness, dropping all defenses to get here. And it's from this place, this spark of the divine within you, that the divine outside of you, that is also you, really longs for you to honor and operate from. And so you can take it easy, take it slow. You might just start by doing this meditation every day for a week, a month, 6 months, just to familiarize yourself with this place. This is a tender and beautiful, and for many people, a very private place inside of them. So you can walk softly and gently here. And if you have an impulse or an inspiration coming out of this meditation today, or this meditation on another day, then act on it and see what happens. See what that brings to you. And keep saying yes. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for joining me in one of my favorite subjects of all time. I will probably continue to talk about this, so stay tuned for my newsletters. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please reach out to me. If you're here, you probably are getting my newsletter. So my email address is samantha@igwell.com. IGWELL. I always love to hear from everyone. And if you have any special requests for any future master classes, shoot, I am all ears. I would love to know what you all are needing and how I can be of service and what's in service to what you're needing now. So lots of love, everyone. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you next time. Take care.